The crackling of the campfire filled the air as I looked around at the faces of the new rangers, their eyes wide with a mix of excitement and apprehension. They had heard the stories, the whispered tales of the horrors that lurked within the heart of Whispering Pines. But nothing could prepare them for the truth behind Rule 5. I leaned forward, my voice low and steady as I began to speak. Listen closely, for the story I'm about to tell you is one that has haunted me for years. It's the reason behind Rule 5, the rule that warns us of the whispering woods and the voices that call our names. The rangers exchanged uneasy glances, their bodies tensing as they sensed the gravity of my words. The whispering woods are a place of great evil, I continued, my gaze distant as I recalled the eerie phenomenon that had plagued the forest for generations. It's said that the trees themselves are alive, imbued with the spirits of the damned, and when the wind blows just right, you can hear them calling out to you, whispering your name like a lover's caress. I could see the fear in their eyes, the realization that the forest held secrets far more terrifying than they had ever imagined. The whispers are a siren's call, a temptation that few can resist. They promise power, knowledge, and the fulfillment of your deepest desires. But to follow them is to invite madness and despair, to lose yourself in the labyrinthine depths of the forest, never to return. The air grew thick with tension as the rangers hung on my every word, their breaths held in anticipation of the horrors to come. I remember my own encounter with the Whispering Woods, back when I was just a rookie ranger, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I was on patrol, walking the trails at dusk when I first heard them. At first, I thought it was just the wind, playing tricks on my mind. But then I heard my name, spoken in a voice that was both familiar and utterly alien. I could feel the chill running down my spine, the primal terror that surged through my veins at the memory of that awful moment. I felt an overwhelming urge to follow the voice, to plunge deeper into the woods and discover the source of the whispers. It was like a physical force pulling me forward, drawing me into the darkness. And for a moment, I almost gave in. The rangers were silent, their faces pale and drawn as they listened to my tale. But then I remembered the words of the elder rangers, the ones who had taught me the ways of the forest. They had warned me of the whispering woods, of the voices that would try to lure me to my doom. And they had given me the tools to resist their temptation. I could see the glimmer of hope in their eyes, the desperate need for a way to fight back against the evil that lurked within the heart of the forest. I covered my ears, blocking out the insidious whispers, and I began to recite the Lord's Prayer. The words felt strange on my tongue, a relic of a faith I had long since abandoned. But as I spoke them, I could feel their power, a holy invocation that seemed to push back against the darkness that threatened to consume me. The rangers leaned forward, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe as they listened. And then, just as suddenly as they had begun, the whispers ceased. The force that had been pulling me forward vanished, and I was left standing alone in the silent woods, my heart pounding in my chest and my mind reeling with the horror of what I had just experienced. I looked out at the sea of faces around the campfire, my gaze heavy with the weight of the knowledge I carried. But my encounter was just the beginning, I said, my voice low and grim. For even as I made my way back to the safety of the ranger station, I knew that the Whispering Woods were far from done with me. And as I delved deeper into the dark history of Whispering Pines, I began to uncover a truth so terrifying, so utterly beyond human comprehension, that it shook me to my very core. The rangers leaned in closer, their faces etched with a mix of dread and morbid fascination. They knew that the true horror of Rule 5 was only just beginning to unfold, and that the worst was yet to come. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the tale that lay ahead. As the flames of the campfire danced and cast eerie shadows across the clearing, I could feel the weight of the rangers' gazes upon me. They were hanging on my every word, desperate to unravel the mystery of the whispering woods and the dark curse that haunted them. The story of the lost hikers is one that has become a cautionary tale among the rangers of Whispering Pines, I began, my voice low and somber. It's a reminder of the terrible fate that awaits those who succumb to the temptation of the whispers and the price that must be paid for defying the rules of the forest. I could see the fear in their eyes, the growing realization that the dangers of the whispering woods were all too real. It happened about a decade ago when a group of college friends decided to spend a weekend camping in the heart of the forest. They were young and carefree, eager for adventure and oblivious to the horrors that lurked in the shadows. I paused, my mind flashing back to the photos of the missing hikers that had been plastered across the ranger station for months after their disappearance. On their first night in the woods, one of the hikers reported hearing strange whispers coming from the trees. At first, the others dismissed it as the wind or the rustling of leaves. But as the night wore on, more and more of them began to hear the eerie voices calling their names. The rangers shifted uneasily, their eyes darting to the tree line as if expecting to hear the whispers themselves. Despite their growing unease, the hikers decided to investigate the source of the whispers. They believed that someone else might be lost in the woods, calling out for help. And so, they split up, each following the voice that called to them, drawn deeper and deeper into the heart of the forest. I could feel the chill in the air, the sense of impending doom that hung heavy over the campfire. As the hikers wandered further into the woods, the whispers grew louder and more insistent. Some reported seeing shadowy figures darting between the trees, beckoning them to follow. Others spoke of a strange mist that seemed to rise up from the ground, engulfing them in an otherworldly haze. The rangers were leaning forward now, their eyes wide with a mix of horror and morbid fascination. And then, one by one, the hikers began to disappear. Their friends would hear a scream in the distance, a cry for help that was abruptly cut off. And when they went to investigate, they would find nothing but an eerie silence and the faint echo of whispers on the wind. I could feel the weight of the story bearing down on me, the terrible knowledge of what had become of those poor, lost souls. By dawn, all of the hikers had vanished, swallowed up by the whispering woods without a trace. Search parties combed the forest for weeks, but no sign of them was ever found. It was as if they had simply ceased to exist, erased from the world by the dark power that lurked within the heart of Whispering Pines. The rangers were silent, their faces pale and drawn as they grappled with the enormity of the tale. The disappearance of the hikers sent shockwaves through the community, and the legend of the Whispering Woods began to grow. But even as the stories spread and the warnings were issued, there were still those who refused to heed the danger, who ventured into the forest seeking adventure or thrill, only to meet a similar fate. But the true horror of the lost hiker's tale goes far beyond their disappearance, I continued, my voice dropping to a whisper. For as I delved deeper into the history of Whispering Pines, I began to uncover a dark secret that had been buried for generations. A curse that lay at the very heart of the forest itself. The rangers leaned in closer, their breath held in anticipation of the revelation to come. And as I pieced together the fragments of the past, I began to realize that the Whispering Woods were far more than just a ghost story or a cautionary tale. They were a manifestation of an ancient evil, a malevolent force that had been preying on the innocent for centuries, luring them to their doom with the siren song of the whispers. I could feel the weight of the truth bearing down on me, the terrible knowledge that I had uncovered in my quest to understand the curse of Whispering Pines. But to truly grasp the enormity of the danger that we face, we must first delve into the dark history of the forest itself, and the curse that has haunted it since time immemorial. And that, my friends, is a story that will chill you to the very marrow of your bones. As the campfire burned low and the shadows grew long, I could feel the weight of the Rangers' expectations bearing down upon me. They had heard the tales of the Whispering Woods and the lost hikers, but nothing could prepare them for the dark truth that lay at the heart of Whispering Pines. The curse of the Whispering Woods is a secret that has been buried for generations, I began, my voice low and grave. It's a story that few have heard, and even fewer have lived to tell. But if we are to have any hope of surviving the horrors that lurk within these cursed trees, we must first understand the evil that lies at their roots. Long ago, in a time before the rangers and the trails, there lived a powerful witch in the heart of the forest. She was a woman of great beauty and terrible cruelty, imbued with a dark magic that allowed her to bend the very fabric of reality to her will. The air grew still as I spoke, the only sound the crackling of the dying fire and the distant howl of a lone wolf. The witch used her powers to lure travelers into the woods, promising them their heart's desire if only they would follow her deeper into the trees. And many did, drawn by the siren song of her whispers, never to be seen again. I could feel the chill running down my spine, the primal terror that surged through my veins at the thought of the witch's dark magic. For years, the witch preyed upon the innocent, growing stronger with each soul she claimed. But eventually, her reign of terror came to an end, when a brave band of warriors and holy men ventured into the forest to confront her. The rangers leaned forward, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and fascination as they hung on my every word. The battle was long and bloody, but in the end, the warriors emerged victorious. They trapped the witch's soul within a sacred circle of trees, binding her spirit to the very forest she had once called home. And as she lay dying, the witch cursed the woods with her final breath, vowing that her whispers would echo through the trees for all eternity, luring the unwary to their doom. And so, the witch's curse has endured, a dark legacy that haunts the heart of Whispering Pines to this very day. Her whispers still call out to those who wander too close, promising power and knowledge and the fulfillment of their deepest desires. But to heed her call is to invite madness and despair, to lose oneself in the labyrinthine depths of the forest, never to return. The rangers were silent, their faces pale and drawn as they grappled with the enormity of the revelation. But there is hope, I continued, my voice growing stronger with each word. For just as the witch's curse has endured, so too has the power of the holy men who defeated her. They left behind a sacred invocation, a prayer that can shield the mind and the soul from the witch's dark magic. And that prayer, my friends, is the Lord's Prayer. I could see the glimmer of hope in their eyes, the desperate need for a way to fight back against the evil that lurked within the heart of the forest. When the whispers come, when you feel the pull of the witch's magic tugging at your mind and your soul, you must cover your ears and recite the Lord's Prayer with all the strength and conviction you can muster. Only then will you be able to resist her temptation, to break free from the curse that has claimed so many before you. The rangers nodded, their faces set with grim determination as they committed the prayer to memory. But even with the power of the Lord's Prayer at your side, the danger of the Whispering Woods is not to be underestimated, I warned, my voice growing somber once more. The curse is growing stronger with each passing year, and more travelers are falling victim to its lure. It falls to us, the Rangers of Whispering Pines, to stand against the darkness, to protect the innocent, and to keep the curse at bay. I could see the weight of the responsibility settling upon their shoulders, the understanding that they were now a part of something much greater than themselves. And so, I charge you, the next generation of Whispering Pines Rangers, with upholding Rule 5 and guarding against the curse of the Whispering Woods. Never let your guard down. Never underestimate the power of the witch's magic. And never, ever give in to the temptation of her whispers. They knew that the road ahead would be long and perilous, that the curse of the Whispering Woods would test them in ways they had never been tested before. And as the last embers of the campfire faded into the night, I knew that the legacy of Whispering Pines would endure, that the light of hope and courage would continue to shine, no matter how deep the shadows grew.